I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved.
Great morning. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. This episode is brought to you by On the Ball, and it's a special episode because it's a brother episode.
It's a
Thursdays
brother.
we get to get together.
And if you were with us on our last episode, I think we got one sentence in. I said I'm back for another day.
We broke the internet.
And it literally just absolutely computed us right off. The internet, all of us texting each other. So hopefully StreamYard will hold up for the Broshow so we can get through our great content. Mark, how's your week?
Oh, it's fantastic. We're just juggling a million things right now, obviously, with the house being in the closing process and then realizing like, all right, that gives us like 3 weeks till we need to be in a new space. So we're looking at rentals, we're looking at sales, we're looking at everything happening and figuring out where we're going to be for Christmas.
Well,
So,
I would like to say that you and Gabby operate well in chaos.
Yeah.
I think it's
thrive.
kind of lights the fire, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either of us are sleeping very well.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just a lot of
A lot of conversations, right? You
a
awake?
lot happening.
I'm
in the
awake.
brain. But we and kudos to her. She does an amazing job as she does with everything in our house of scheduling and figuring out what we need to be doing and working with Whitney Dutton, who's our realtor, who's doing an amazing job for us. But yeah, so we make blocks and we go out in those blocks and we go hit 5 or 6 places and we get around. And so that's great. Business is great. Was with Gricon yesterday for another one of their business development trainings. Had lunch yesterday with Michael Rosenberg and talked about ways that we can work together with them and the Roig law firm. So just great stuff happening, great people, and really enjoying where we're at right now.
That's amazing. Now, does Jules understand moving yet?
No, he's got no clue.
No clue?
Got no clue. We're showing him pictures of the house and stuff. Like, you like this one? You want to go live in this house? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
So make sure I have my crib and let's keep the show rolling.
It's gonna be interesting to see how the change goes. So
Listen. And if anybody doesn't know, me and Mark are big football fans. Big football fans. And if you don't know about college football, this
I've
time
now got you addicted to action, don't I?
You had me looking at the standings this morning. You had me doing tie breaks of Bowling Green and Miami, Ohio, and I'm looking at coaching staffs and what they're doing and who they have playing. If you do not know, college football has a really special
Tuesday and Wednesday night schedule.
It's an aspect of college football where I would say idiots like me and Mark will gear up and we'll watch these mid-American conference teams, which are the Miami, Ohio, Bowling Green. I mean, it is cold, it's gritty, and they play good football, but it is wild on a Tuesday and Thursday or Wednesday night
it's so much fun for me. Like, and I have a lot of respect for those schools that are the majority of them in Ohio and Indiana, right? I mean, between Toledo and Akron and Ohio, like all of those teams, I was around all of them when I was at the University of Cincinnati. And we were recruiting some of the same kids. Joe Burrow is from Athens. So like I went and visited his dad, who was the DC at the University of Ohio, and met Joe Burrow in like the gym of the middle school and had him throw routes in the gym. And I was like, oh, yeah, this kid's a stud.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I was like,
where's he
fired
going?
up. We're going to get him to campus.
Ohio
Like,
State was
let's
here
go.
yesterday. Oh, cool. Great.
Had to drive 2.5 hours from Cincinnati to Athens, where there's nothing, to see Joe Burrow. And then like 3 months later, he was committed to the University.
And I said this to you, and if we have any Ohio people listening, I'm sorry. But where did
Ryan's fired up for the
Athens,
Athens,
Ohio, Dublin, Ohio? Like, where did you get it couldn't be original. It was adopting major city names.
History, man. Back in the days, just making up cities of places that already existed. But so there's great football being played on Tuesday and Wednesday night. And speaking of Mac, Coach Jim McElwain, who was the head coach at a Mac school, Central Michigan, who had not a very good year this year, has officially retired from college football and took a step back. So a guy that was in the very beginning of your career and in the middle of mine is now retiring.
I'll never forget. I was you were a part of his inaugural staff at Florida. You guys were very successful the first year. We were very successful our second year. And in year 3, he got fired, which was a lesson beyond belief for me to be 19, to watch the political scene within people getting fired, watching how he handled it as a leader. And I'll never forget this. For the rest of my life, we get blown out by Georgia. It's pretty much done. Like, we know that we're waiting, or he's waiting to get fired that day. And we used to have Jimmy John's come to the office on Sundays. And I walk out of my office and he's standing there over the Jimmy John's, eating a bag of chips, right? Just pretty much literally walking around waiting to get sacrificed, waiting to get called down the office to get fired. And he looks at me and he goes, "What's up, SpaghettiOs?" And he used to call me SpaghettiOs because Mark was Noodle and I was Little Noodle. And so SpaghettiOs was the Little Noodle. And he looks at me and he goes, "At least we have Jimmy John's." I will never forget. I didn't know whether to say anything to him, and he obviously got paid a lot of money to leave, but when he looked at me and said, "At least we have Jimmy John's," it was a moment I'll never forget.
I think the experience of being fired in college football is really unique because it's just a part of the industry.
Right.
Like, I remember being a very young assistant coach at Florida State. And when I first got hired, one of the coaches on staff pulled me into his office and he said, "Noodle, I want to tell you something. There's 2 kinds of coaches in this business. Coaches that have been fired and coaches that are getting fired." Right. He's like, "So understand that that's something that is just a part of the DNA of the industry." And so, like, a lot of people look at being fired as like this devastating event in your life. In college football, it's really pretty common practice and normal. And there's I've got 4 different stories of either a staff being fired or me being fired. And it was interesting, like you said, like you had that one experience with him to see what it was like in that dynamic, to see the way people handle it in different places. Like when I was at the University of Nevada, I was with guys who have been in the profession for a very long time, but that was one of their bigger stops that they had been to. And like when we got axed, I was like packing up my office and boxing everything up. Like, head coach is gone. That means we're gone, guys. It's common knowledge, right? And I remember the DC sitting across the hallway from me being like, "Noodle, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm packing,
leaving."
And then he was like, "Well, you're not going to see if Norvell's going to keep you." And I was like, "Brother, get on the phone, man. You need to start calling people immediately, because if that's what you're holding on to, it's going to be a long December for you."
And it's gotten earlier too in football, where people are getting fired in December now. It's rapidly speeding the time you have to build a program.
Herman got fired this week. Like
they still have 2 games left, and they asked him to leave and said, "You know what? We'll just pull the plug and move on." Crazy stuff going on in the world. We have huddle headlines today. We got wake up music. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. Let's go. I know. My bad for telling the content.
7 minutes in. Let's go. Let's go.
As we do on the show, we train our brain. We start with a daily affirmation to ensure that we are controlling our thoughts. I love today's affirmation. Mark, please do the honors.
Things that seem easy are only easy until you have to do them every day. Embrace the boredom of consistency. It's not supposed to be thrilling. It's supposed to be work. That's how champions separate themselves. I love that. And I think that's like when it speaks to a lot of our LinkedIn training, right? Like we're not delivering you earth-shattering information, right? We're giving you a process and a system that is very simple. The difficulty is making the time to do it and showing up to do it every single day. And I had this conversation with Gricon yesterday. I was like, if you don't do it every day, you're not going to get these results. I'm showing you what happens when you do it for 5 years every day. If you do it this way, it will happen. But 99% of you aren't going to do it.
Well, if you understand behavior does compound like money, it is very similar. And I'm so happy that I wrote it before watching this, but Gino Auriemma became the most winningest coach in women's basketball history last night. And he gave a speech and I loved it. And he goes, I didn't write the roadmap 40 years ago to be here.
Yeah,
he goes, this wasn't the roadmap.
We didn't sit down and write the 40-year plan.
40-year plan. He goes, we did it just by trying to be better than what we were the day before. And he goes, and the struggle that came with that, the happiness that came with that, and everybody buying into that mentality is what got to us to this point.
His humility in what he said after the game resonated so clearly. But I really love the way he talked about, like, look, there's 160 players that we've touched their lives. Some of them have wonderful stories and some of them have nightmares, right? Like I've become the most winningest coach in college basketball, but that doesn't mean that everybody who came here has a great story of being here. Some people had really hard roads. Some people had fairy tales, like the 4 teams that went to back national championships. He's like, but it took all of those stories to bring us here. It's just really cool and really humble, and it was really awesome to hear.
It took 2 minutes into his speech to address the walk-ons that I played for him for 40 years.
And the students, like, this is a guy who's the winningest coach in all of college basketball.
The best women's basketball players ever.
And he's talking about the students and how the students are what make UConn what it is, and how the students are really the players' teammates and like the ones who really know them and see them on a daily basis. Like, just unbelievable humility and a great speech.
I don't know if you saw it. They brought out a goat.
Yeah.
They brought out a goat for him. But there's a guy who obviously is very self-aware, and we're going to have a self-awareness conversation at the end. But I do want to get to Huddle headlines. So Shay, play the music. All right.
The first headline is a doozy because
I'm fired up.
Delta just continues to separate themselves from everybody else. Delta is going to serve Shake Shack burgers on their flights. Okay. Hello, sign me up for these flights. I need this.
I promise you that is better than whatever tortellini dish that they are going to heat up and give me. We used to,
like, the bento box that they're giving you on like the United flights or the JetBlue flights.
Oh no, it's bad.
Like gummy bears and stale crackers.
Snack packs. The snack packs.
Right. They're getting you for $9.
I almost did it. I'm starving. Hadn't eaten. I go, what do you guys have? And they go, we have crackers and cheese. And I was like, just give me the plantain chips, you know? Right. But I do think they are. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Does that alienate the first class experience at all? That it's not a white coat experience? Because they do.
I don't think so.
Because it's interesting, because I was reading an article about their future plans, and they are really trying to go after high ticket people for expensive vacations, and that's where a lot of the profit is. And I don't know if that mirrors that experience, you know, that you're in first class and you're getting a burger. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
So for me, personally, when we buy first class, it's never for the food, right? It's for the space, it's for the getting on early, it's for the, for the experience of being early and getting taken care of. It's definitely not the food. So like, I don't know, for me, including the Shake Shack burger doesn't knock it down a notch at all. If anything, like everybody's talking about it, right? Like Jonathan Aaron's, the smell is going to be interesting throughout the plane. Are they microwaving these Shake Shack burgers?
Yeah,
like, is that what's going to happen?
Like, do they sit there in like the warm box? Like,
right?
What? Look, I will tell you, when we used to travel with football, it was 5 guys on the plane, and you would pick up a burger and you would go on the plane and eat the burger. So I'm for it. I think it's gonna be great.
And I'm telling you what, Tom Nolan from Newcastle Hotel says, let's get Chick-fil-A as well, except on Sundays.
Yeah, look,
if we can get a Delta Chick-fil-A partnership, I don't see why that wouldn't happen. Dad says F. I don't want Shake Shack burgers on the
I have
plane.
a question. Maybe
Are you out of your mind?
Maybe I'm not fully educated. Is Shake Shack based out of Boston? Is that why?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know where they started. I don't know where they're headquartered.
I don't know why it wouldn't be like in Atlanta or I think Minnesota.
Technically, I'm a BurgerFi guy because BurgerFi is built out of South Florida and comes from here. So
hopefully
I'm a homer.
But anyway, let's get to the next headline. And I think this plays a little nostalgia on all of us. Campbell's is dropping the name Soup from their name.
Does anybody know why is the question?
Yeah.
Are they expanding their products outside of soups?
Yes. They want to focus. They want to expand and shift its focus to snacks and other jarred sauces.
I'm not eating anything Campbell's other than soup.
What snacks? Campbell's snack? Like
I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
So do they do that because profits on soup is bad, or people
I don't
stop?
know. Here's what I can tell you. Is that the only kind of snack I'm trying to eat from Campbell's is if they're giving me some kind of tomato soup grilled cheese cracker. If you're delivering me a cracker that has the flavor of the grilled cheese dipped in tomato soup, they can own that market. They can roll with it forever, and I will buy that. Other than that, I'm not in on anything Campbell's.
Honestly, you need to like apply for one of those like Lay's competitions where they, you know what I mean? Where they ask you for new flavors.
Yeah, new flavors.
You might win.
That's one that needs to be made.
Tomato soup, or a grilled cheese tomato
soup crackers. Call it.
Whoa. All right, man. I see you. You came with that. One last one. If there are any Suits fans, I'm a giant Suits fan. Harvey Specter is returning. Gabriel Max, I think is how you pronounce it, will return to Suits. If you've ever watched Suits, it's kind of one of my favorite shows, and he's actually one of my favorite characters. You've never seen it, right?
I have seen it. Unpopular opinion. I stopped watching
it. You're crazy. You're crazy.
It's fine.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
You're unpopular. Take that one.
I know. Unpopular opinion. I'm aware. I'm all good with being in the minority on this one. It was just kind of to me.
Didn't like it, huh? Me and Dad were in it. We loved it. Let's get to motivational music. And then let's talk about self-awareness a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I'm here without you, baby, but you're still on my lonely mind. I think about you, baby, and I dream about you all the time. I'm here without you, baby, but you're still with me in my dreams. And tonight, girl, there's only you and me. Everything I know, and anywhere I go, it gets hard, but it won't take away my love. And when the last one falls, when it's all said and done, it gets hard, but it won't take away my love.
Such a banger.
Listen, it doesn't
3 doors
get
down, baby.
does not get much better. Like Nickelback, I've just been on this whole kick now of just all rock.
I'm just telling you, Jonathan Aaron's on the same train as me. I stopped watching it about 2 seasons in. 2 seasons. This is exactly where I was. I was like, yeah.
I will say though, like new TV versus old TV is like hard. Like new TV is so good, I think. And then you go back to watch, like I just started watching Lost.
Yeah, out.
22
Compare
22
Lost to Silo for me, right?
22 episodes a season.
Right.
22.
Yeah.
Wrap
Like
it up.
45 minutes a clip.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. 12 episodes.
I'm gonna tell you what,
Out.
Lost was a wild story, but like if you're comparing Silo now to
Silo's
Lost, like you're in on Silo.
sets the except
In
for
on
Common.
Silo.
Common's the worst actor in both of the things. Self-awareness. 8 benefits of self-awareness. Mark, you sent this article a few weeks ago talking about, I think it was the Daily Coach or
It is the Daily Coach. It's a great piece of content to subscribe to and get in your inbox. I think it's daily actually. But it's a minimum a couple times a week. They do a great job of putting leadership content. They pull from all different places. They do a really good job. And this one was about self-awareness, which I think is the most important trait to cultivate in yourself. And of all the leadership coachings and trainings that we do and working with people, I will tell you it's the hardest thing to cultivate in somebody else. So it's why I challenge people that like you can try and you can talk about it and you can educate and you can give people opportunity, but ultimately it becomes that person's decision and responsibility to cultivate self-awareness in themselves. And if they choose not to, they will never get it. You can't make them do it.
How do you go about helping somebody become more self-aware without, what's the right way to say it, offending them maybe? You know what I mean? Without pointing it out directly or being like, that's a fault, instead of helping.
You draw attention to it by asking them the questions. So when you ask somebody how they interacted inside of a conversation or in an engagement or whatever happened, you then ask them, how do you think that may have landed to the other party, right? How do you think that person received it? What do you think they thought about that? And you try to get them to get out of themselves, because that's really what self-awareness is being able to understand perspective from the other side of the table or from the other side of the conversation, or how you may be viewed in an experience from outside of yourself.
Right.
And so the only way you can get them to do that is try to get them to put themselves in other people's shoes and see another perspective. But ultimately, if they choose not to do that consistently, never works.
Well, it's interesting. I think most people, when you talk about self-aware, go to themselves, obviously. How am I feeling? Everything about me, right? And they don't really flip it, and it's recognize what other people need, recognize how you're showing up to them and how they're digesting your behavior, which I think is the other end. If you could say, I know how I am, but if you're unaware of what is happening around you, then you're also not self-aware.
Right. You're actually selfish.
Right.
Because if you are so in tune with yourself, but you don't care about your repercussions that you create outside of being you, you're just selfish. You're only worried about yourself and you're only operating for yourself.
I like this. And it says you have to be willing to wake up to challenge every belief. And you know, that's a hard thing to do, talking about every day, to challenge the belief and constantly seek getting better and being more aware. And
it's something that I have always done, right? In terms of philosophy and in terms of strategy and in terms of things that we're doing. And it's something I do with us inside of our business all the time, is I'm like, is it really still the best? Is this really, like, what are other people teaching? What are other people saying? What are other people's philosophies? What are the other tactics? Is there something to be learned there? Could we be wrong?
Yeah.
Has it changed?
Could we be wrong?
From 5 years ago to now, is it possible that we're wrong? And if you just continue to ask yourself that question, you're open. It opens you up, because you're listening and you're looking for other perspectives and other that either validate your current belief system and you're like, great, let's keep moving, or challenges it and go, ooh, let's dive into that. Let's explore that a little more to see if there's something that we can do there.
And then be willing to accept the new information and apply it and do it, not just digest it and go, you know, be willing to take action.
The hardest part.
Yeah.
I think 1,000% that's the hardest part, is to hear information or fact that is in direct opposition to what you believe and accept it.
Yeah.
Right. Or to even better yet, don't just accept it at face value, but then go do your own digging on it.
Right.
And go validate it and prove yourself wrong. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. But if we all did this more often, first of all, we would debunk most of the stuff that we hear and see on social media, and we'd get to our own really well-founded philosophies.
Amen. Great show today.
Wow. 8:23 we went over.
8:23. It flies by when we're on a bro show.
One conversation.
It flows naturally.
Tomorrow, we've got Carla Thatcher in the hot seat. She's the Chief Communications Officer at Hotwire. She's got an unbelievable story of traveling through corporate America, entrepreneurial journey, back into Hotwire. They're doing amazing things. She's a great leader. She's got a great story. So I'm excited to dive into that and get some of her own philosophies and perspectives on how she's become successful and get to share that with everybody in the huddle.
We can't wait to see you tomorrow. If you're looking for more information, visit ontheball.co, sign up for our newsletter, join our community of people getting better every single day. And today, let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down,